Lagos, Nigeria. Oh, we got Kenya. You're welcome. So for those of you who are wondering why some people have a colored background, the board of directors of ICF Nigeria have a virtual background. So I will invite my fellow directors to kindly indicate which portfolio they hold by renaming themselves. So I'm the ICF Nigeria Education Director. We've got the ICF Nigeria President, Akanemo Ekong. So Tosi and Ehoi, kindly indicate your portfolio, please. Thank you. Wow, Slovenia, we got Barcelona, Athens, Greece. Wow. Mr. President, are you making note of this diversified community that we've got here this evening?
Yes, I've been to Barcelona and I'm just feeling a bit jealous right now. Not living here.
Okay.
And I'm
Keep it
looking forward to
coming.
coming to Greece. Welcome everyone from Kenya, South Africa, African brothers and sisters. And thank you. People are coming in from the UK, Germany. It's fantastic.
All over the world.
And so we have about 3 minutes we're going to kick off.
Absolutely. We're going to go straight on time. And we've got a few more of the board and the trustees just joined. You're welcome.
Evening, everyone.
Good
Really
day.
excited about this.
Absolutely.
Hi, Marcia.
Hi.
Good evening, everyone. Hi, Marcia.
Good day. Good day.
Happy
So
The
yeah.
trustees
Good evening.
are happy to be here.
Indeed. So for those who've just joined, we're just kind of interacting in the chat box. Kindly just drop a message, indicate where you're joining us from. We've got a wide range of locations here from Lagos. Oh, we got Seattle. Wow, that's wonderful. Sunny Lagos, Slovenia, Barcelona. We got Athens, Greece. Oh, we got so many different locations. We've got Kaduna in the house. Kaduna is in the northern part of Nigeria. Keep it coming, please, people. Lagos, Nigeria, Seattle. Oh, wonderful. Now I just wish I could travel all over the world. But why should I bother going all over the world when the whole world is with me here tonight? Amazing. Right. Amazing. Okay. So I've got a minute to go. I'm just going to wait and then we're going to kick off. Oh, someone from Ibadan in Nigeria. Wow. That's wonderful. Great. Hello from Belgium. Hello, Belgium. Hyderabad. Wow. Okay, that's but you're logging in from Seattle.
You know, I always get the question because I've traveled so many places, like, what's your favorite? And I said, please don't ask me that. Or where would you go back? I'm
Absolutely.
Like, so many things in each place that are different, but also, why would I go back? There's so many more places to see.
To discover.
So as I'm looking at this list, I'm thinking, okay, I've been there, but I've never been there, and I've never been there. So many more places to see in this lifetime.
Absolutely.
Hi, Marcia.
Okay, so without further ado, I'm just going to kick off the session. And once again, I'm going to check that everyone can see my screen. I'm not the speaker tonight. Don't worry. We've got wonderful Dr. Marcia Reynolds in the house. And from what you can see on the screen, I'm just going to quickly read this quotation that I found so fascinating, so amazing. Coaching is the best learning technology available today. Whether you're a new coach or you've spent years on your path of mastery, or you're a leader who wants to make a lasting difference with individuals, teams, or your organization's culture, we have programs for you. Let's work together to uplift and expand minds and hearts. Now, I interpret that from Dr. Marcia Reynolds, Doctor of Psychology, MCC, to mean collaboration. So, folks, you're all welcome, regardless of where you are, to this wonderful One Global community. And we are upholding the ICF core values of collaboration. Can I kindly invite everyone to mute themselves, please? Thank you very much. Now, we commit to develop social connection and community building, just like we're doing here. Our guest speaker tonight is a global household name, and she needs no introduction. But with that said, in Nigeria, it's customary that we introduce our guests. So I'm going to take a brief moment to introduce Dr. Marcia Reynolds. She's a doctor of psychology. She's an MCC. She helps people have more meaningful conversations. She holds a doctorate in organizational psychology. And guess what? She's got 2 master's degrees. Wow. She's coached and trained leaders in 43 countries and counting. She's been featured in so many publications. The list is endless. Now, this particular point, can I ask all participants to kindly mute themselves, please? Thank you. Okay. Let me just unmute.
I got it.
Oh, great stuff. Yeah, you got it. Now, for me, the most fascinating of all the points that I could ever find, the fact finding, was she was a pioneer in the coaching profession, or actually is. And she was a founding member and the 5th global president of ICF, and now sits on the board as a global director. Now, I don't know about you.
No, let me just clarify that. I'm not on the board right now.
Okay.
And where you found this, I went back on a second time, but it's been years. So
All right,
I don't want
okay.
to take that away from those who are there.
Thank you for correcting that fact, misfact for that matter. Okay. She's been recognized in the ICF Global Circle of Distinction. And then prior to coaching, she managed training department for multinational corporations. She's passionate about how coaching contributes to making the world a better place for all. And you can find out a little bit more about her in this website. Now, one interesting fact is that she's written so many books, several publications, Breakthrough Coaching, which I'm pretty sure we're going to hear a little bit about this evening. Coach the person, not the problem. A guide to using reflective inquiry. The discomfort zone, how leaders turn difficult conversations into breakthroughs. Outsmart your brain, how to master your mind when emotions take the wheel. And Wonder Woman. Now, I'm pretty sure there are a few more books. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to hand over to Dr. Marcia Reynolds now to take us through the session this evening.
Okay, thank you so much. And before I get to my slides, I just want to share with you, I love seeing you all here in this community. There's so many things about coaching that keeps my passion alive. And one of them is that I get to meet all of you coaches all over the world. That's so exciting that we're on this path together. And, you know, and I have been constantly, I love learning, and that's why I have so many degrees, but because I'm most curious, how do we not just help people like see how to do things better, but that we expand the way they see themselves in the world. And it's always so exciting in that moment, in that breakthrough moment when they have that aha, that it's exciting for the coach as well as the client, right? And that's what keeps our spark alive. And I think there's so many of us doing this around the world that I can't help but think that we are making a big difference, even in this dark times many of us are facing, but that we uplift, we keep the spirit alive, we uplift spirit and expand consciousness, and do our best in this moment to make the difference that's needed on this planet. So I thank you all for choosing coaching, to constantly be looking to improve your coaching as well, as we're on this journey together, that I am here for you. So I'm going to present some things. We'll have some time to answer questions at the end, but if I do so many of these things, sometimes I'll say something just blah, blah, and people don't know what I'm talking about. So please ask the question, what did I mean by that? Or, if there's something that I can help you to better understand. But again, I will make sure that there's time at the end to answer your questions. Okay, so let me bring up my slides. So, I would like you to write in the chat box 1 to 3 words. So no long sentences, just 1 to 3 words. What is the great value that we provide for people? What is it that if somebody say, what do you do? Well, this is what we give. So 1 to 3 words. And I'm going to take a look. I'll follow along with some of you. Insights, clarity, hope, clarity, awareness, insight, expand thinking, meeting them as they meet themselves, become a better version, lightness, shift, transformation, safe space. We provide a safe space so the transformation can occur, so they can get unstuck. Trust, exploration, chance for a breath. I love that. A real breakthrough, and we'll talk about that. A moment to reflect, because people don't take that time on their own. The space for them to be vulnerable, that they feel okay to be vulnerable with you. Partnership, revelation. All right, it's important that we think about what is it that we provide people. So I want to start there, because there's still so many people in the world. I'm so amazed at the people that still don't understand what coaching is and what it can do, that they still think it's problem solving and, just giving people advice and telling them what to do better, and not including who to be better. And so all of you saying that new awareness, that self-awareness often solves the problem, that we seek to expand self-awareness in a way of seeing myself and the world differently, that helps me to see new solutions and way forward on the challenges that I'm facing. It's the self-awareness, the shift in perception, in ideas, in seeing everything around me. That's so powerful about coaching, what makes us different than the other, when I say learning technologies. And coaching to me is a learning technology, because people, when we look at what is it we want people to do when they learn, it's sustainable change. Sustainable change. And I learned that back when I used to run training departments. We were always looking for sustainable change. People would change for a moment, and then as soon as it felt awkward, they'd go back to old behavior. What creates sustainable change? And I have found coaching does this better than anything else. So I want to just share a little bit about this, because this is important, that you're able to clearly convey to people what is the value we bring to this world and to each client, that you're not telling them how you do it, but you tell them what is the end result. That's the thing that will pique their interest, and that we can spread what coaching really is and the power of coaching more easily around the world. But understand that, people don't change even when they think they should. Information doesn't change behavior. So my first job was in it was actually a psychiatric hospital. I worked there for 5 years, very enlightening about human behavior and what does it take, really working with people. But what I learned then, that there was a lot of research that no matter what the healthcare was, if you tell someone, if you don't do this, you could die, they would do it for a couple of days and then they would rationalize how they don't need to do it anymore. And that was typical across the board. So you telling someone this would be good for you, you should do this, is a waste of your breath. I mean, just think about it, all of you. Is there anything that you should be doing, but you don't? Okay, I see some heads shaking. Of course, because information doesn't change behavior. We just hold on to it. So what we're looking for is behavioral change. But see, it's not just that information is just a cognitive process, and I may think about it, I may remember it, I probably won't, but and then my rationalizing comes forth because the brain safely holds on to old beliefs of who I think I am and how I see the world. The brain wants you to feel safe, feel protected. It's not truly interested in you taking risks because it doesn't like uncertainty. If you think about it, that's the brain's primary job is to keep you safe, fight or flight, and to provide meaning to everything you look at. I mean, if you think about it, like how many times have you been walking down the street and you see something in front of you and you think it's a paper bag, and then you get closer, you realize it's a rock, but your brain made meaning out of it because we need to make meaning. So it likes to hold on to who I think I am and how I see the world. If left to our own devices, emotions of discomfort, awkwardness, they overrules logic when deciding what to do. So we rationalize our beliefs. We are master rationalizers. I used to teach leadership for Maersk, the shipping company, and all around the world, I'd have the leaders stand up and go, "I'm a master rationalizer," because I wanted them to realize that's what we do, and we do it well. That if I asked you, why'd you do that, you're going to come up with a reason. And now you might think about it later, but your brain will give you a reason, even if it doesn't make a lot of sense. And the smarter you are, the better you are at rationalizing. So if you're coaching, like very high level people, know that they're very good at quickly rationalizing why they do what they do and that it's right. And so by you asking them questions so they stop and question themselves is the only way you're going to get through to these people. You can't just say, you're thinking about this wrong. Let me tell you what you might consider. You can't do that and have it work because they're going to rationalize their beliefs um, in this moment. The brain prefers self-preservation over self-actualization, and that's just the way it is. It's easier to defend the reality I'm holding on to than to question it. And so the only way that I could possibly do this, and there's many books written by neuroscientists and behavioral economists that say it must be an external disruptor. Something externally might happen that maybe I got hurt, and it there's this huge emotion around it, and that may make me stop and question. But if somebody outside of us, what a coach does, just shares, so let me just tell you what I heard you say, and then ask a question. That's an external disruption. They cannot do this on their own. This is what you do for them. So it was Michael Gazzaniga, a neuroscientist, that was the first one to start exploring, do we really have free will? And the neuroscientists are still exploring this today. Robert Sapolsky, who's a well-known neuroscientist, runs the division at Stanford, just came out with another book questioning, do we have free will or does our brain choose for us? And again, they say the only way that we can possibly have free will is if somebody outside of us asks us the questions. We don't do it well on our own. And that's what people have to recognize. That's the value, that we are a thinking partner. I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm not going to diagnose you and give you, a prescription or advice. You're not broken. You don't need to be fixed. I just need to help you think. I need to help you think, because if I help you think, then you can break through your old belief system, to see something new. And as soon as you see it in a new way, you can't go back. You can't go back, And so as a coach, you're a thinking partner, and that's what we do. And the word partner is really critical, because there cannot be a power dynamic. This is why the ICF doesn't take coaching hours if you're a manager and you're coaching your direct reports, okay? Because you don't have the right power dynamic. You're still the manager, and they're possibly not going to be vulnerable with you, and you might lead them a little bit. There's got to be an equal that they feel, I'm here for you. I'm not here because I'm your doctor, your manager. I'm here for you. As a thinking partner. That's an essential piece, is it's the even power dynamic. So I want to share with you, this study came out just after I sent in my manuscript for the book, and I had to beg, please, please, please let me put this study in the book. And the guy who manages the publishing office said, no, too late. But I went to the copy editor, and she said, I haven't really started yet editing your book, so you can throw it in. So I got permission at the last minute. But this is just an initial study, and hopefully there will be a lot more. It was just 16 people. It was done in Spain, and I'll give you the article on this slide. But they took 16 people, and like coaching, they asked them, so what's a challenge that you're facing? So it was individualized to something, that a dilemma they were facing they hadn't solved. And so then they put them, each 16 people had 3 different scenarios where they started with, they were given a very quiet, comfortable room to think about their problem, to come up with solutions on their own. Then they gave them, the second one, a mentor who gave them ideas to consider, opinions, their experience. And then they came out, they asked them, what'd you learn? What'd you come up with? And then they gave him a coach trained in reflective inquiry, to use reflections as well as questions. The first column is solitary. So some people they put a brain monitor on their head. Sorry, that's what that is. They put a brain monitor. They had some activity in the brain, a little bit. Some people, I don't know, maybe they took a nap. And they came out with some ideas. The second 2 columns are the mentor. Not much different in brain activity. In fact, the one that was fairly flat in the first column went even flatter in the next 2 columns, because people tend to either, comply or resist when you tell them what to do, but it doesn't spark much brain activity, a little bit in some people. But it was the last columns that was coaching. Coaching just made the brain light up, and thinking and associating and connecting and whatever. And when they came out, they had all these creative ideas of how to solve their problem. So I love this study because it demonstrates, the difference in what happens in the brain. So when I say a learning technology, we're looking to open up, and consider things in a way that they couldn't consider on their own, or when somebody was telling them what to do. Again, it was just 16 people, but that's how we start a study, just a small sample, and then hopefully people will take this on. But the coach approach led to the highest activity, And in the brain, that's most associated with creativity, in the middle brain. And they came out with more aha moments, more breakthroughs. So I absolutely love this study. I know that somebody had posted it on the ICF educators community. So a lot of coach trainers are having access to this study, but I have yet to see anyone go to the next level with a more diverse sample, but hopefully that will happen. If any of you are associated with a university, maybe you could do that. That would be awesome. So when we look at this, the study discovered when you coach people's thinking, the light bulb moments, the aha, or even I call it, it might be this, oh, wow moment, but it could be also a duh moment, like, duh, I should have thought of that. How many times have you coached and that's happened? It's like, "Ah, well, of course, that they just weren't quite seeing it, but that's still a light bulb moment because the light came on and they saw something new. And that's what we're aiming for, how powerful that is since they can't do it on their own, and how much more the expansion of their consciousness and their picture of themselves that's now changed and changed for good. So we call this insight-based learning. The light bulb moment is the insight. We expand perspective of self in the situation. And I say self because you'll find in my writing that more and more in the last few years, I've been focusing my coaching on identity, where I get them to, they name their challenge and, what I ask them questions about what they mean by that. And then, so what would be a picture of what you'd like to have instead? What would they like to change, create? And once we get the picture of what they want, then I'll say, so in this picture of what you're hoping will happen, who are you? Who are you being? And then I can go back to, okay, so what's going on today? And how would you define who you are in relationship to other people in that picture? And let's look at the gap. And I cannot tell you how much shorter my coaching sessions are when we start looking at who, because once I define, oh, yeah, well, I think, like an example, I was coaching this woman and she was working for a German company and she was the only woman in the room with German and American men. She's Chinese. And I said, she says, well, I just have trouble speaking up. I said, so when you sit down in the room, how would you define yourself? Who are you being? Well, I'm just a Chinese girl. I said, well, that's fascinating. Why do you think they want you there? Well, I know the Chinese market better than them. Okay, so Chinese girl is Chinese expert. So what would you like? Well, I'd like to speak up and share my ideas. So who are you being in that moment? And when we started to create that picture, it was the coaching to how is she going to become that? That was very clear for her. I've done it with leaders who see themselves as the expert and the one who knows. And I'm like, well, what is it that your people want from you? Well, they want me to support their growth. Okay. So where's the conflict here that you're constantly telling them what to do, but they want to grow? Who do you need to be to help them grow? So identity, the shift in identity is such a critical piece. And I love talking about that and teaching that. We coach people to climb a tree in their mind, to look down on their thinking so they have a wider view. So they see these cracks in their logic that, oh yeah, there's a conflict there. The assumptions they're making about the future, which how do they know that to be true? Could anything else occur? Their fears that are holding them back. And the shoulds. I should do this. Well, who says you should? Is it family? Is it society? How are your shoulds getting in the way of your dreams? These are the things that once they can look down on their thinking, separate their thoughts from their brain and look at them out here. This is what we do for them. Then they can see what's getting in their way. And that's the magic of coaching, because then they have that light bulb moment that changes everything. So your superpower is to help them see their thinking. You reflect what you see, hear what you see. So they stop to think about their thinking on their own. You don't have to remember questions to ask. I do want to know at the beginning, what is it, once we look at the dilemma, what would you like to have different? What does it look like? Because that becomes the container of the coaching, and it's the pull through thread that we're constantly looking at, creating that picture and what's getting in the way. Now, that could change because they may realize what they really want to create is something else, but you call that out. So it sounds like what you really want to focus on is this. What does that look like? So their outcome could change, but that's the thing that's critical. That's so important. And again, in Breakthrough Coaching, my new book, I really hone in on that, and a lot of the training that I'm doing now. So you'll hear me if you look on my YouTube site. There's a lot of demos, and I'm going to give you a page where I've got demos and videos of that based on the book. I'm going to give you that at the end of this, but I say a lot. So this is what I think you're saying. Let me see if I got it right. So what you said is, and I'll just summarize what I think they said, but I could be wrong, and that's okay because it helps them think. They may say, well, that's not quite it. And then they'll change it, they'll edit it. That's great. You don't have to know exactly, and you could be wrong. That's okay. It makes them think more deeply. And we notice emotions, like when you looked away, there was something on your mind. Would you be willing to share that with me? Sometimes they'll get quiet and start mumbling something. It's often the little throwaway comment that you want to grab and say, but you said this, and then you just quickly change the subject. Could we go back to that statement where you said, yeah, but this is never going to work? What's never going to work? What has happened in your past that has led you to that belief? So that's what we listen. It's about your listening and your sharing. You receive their words and their expressions. Don't think about it. Don't think about it. Just receive and offer back what you think, and let them tell you what they think about what you said. So we listen for key descriptor words. We ask them what they mean by that. Like this woman said, I want to be more consistent. Well, what does consistent in this situation mean to you? Well, I want to be more confident. Well, what would confident be in this scenario? What would it look like for you? What would you be doing differently? Be more curious up front, and they're going to tell you. You don't have to ask them, what do you want at the end of the session? They're going to tell you when you ask those questions, what it is they would like to have instead, and then you just share that. So it seems to me that what's most important for you to create right now is this. Is that what you want to work on? That's the question. That's the question that defines the outcome, because they don't know what they want. So, and then always, if there's emotional shifts in any way, looking down, their volume, pausing, nervous laughter, just to ask them, what is that? What does that mean? Be curious about meaning. I'm more and more asking, okay, so you use that word, what does that mean to you? It's amazing how powerful that is when they start thinking about the words they choose and what they just said. And often they're so used to saying this that they don't even think about it. Use their words. You don't have to come up with your own. Don't interpret what they're saying. Use their words and ask about it. And it makes coaching so much more simple if all I'm doing is pulling out what's important to you and asking you about that. That makes you think for yourself. We make coaching way too hard. and don't worry about it if they have an intense emotion. Crying is just a way to clear the eyes to see. You aren't there to help them feel better. Don't tell them, oh, it's okay, you don't have to feel that way, you're really good at this, you shouldn't feel bad. Don't do that. Okay, you weaken them when you do that. Just let them have their emotion. Breathe with compassion. Let them think about it. And then you could ask, okay, so, you know, you just went through an experience. Would you be willing to share with me what you now see? Okay. You're not there to help them feel better. You're there to help them see better. If I seem a little distracted for a moment, it's like it just got dark and all of a sudden I heard some light, some thunder. I'm like, well, that's fascinating. There's a storm coming in to Arizona. Okay, so the question you're always asking is what's getting in the way of this smart person from achieving what they want? We have to first understand what they want, and then we look at what needs to be addressed or resolved and really listen for that. What they tell you up front may not be what they really need to work on. So keep asking that question to yourself. What's getting in the way of this smart person from solving this problem on their own? And that's why I say we're not there if they say I have to make a plan. I want to know what's stopping you from making the plan. What's making the plan difficult? I'm not going to help you plan. You can do that on your own. When they say I have a decision isn't an outcome. You know, so what's making it difficult for you to choose at this moment? You know, is there something that you're leaning toward, but you're afraid it may not work? Let's take a look at your options. What are you thinking about each one? I'm not there to make you just help you decide. I want you to explore what's making it difficult. And anytime you see the light in their eyes or a gasp or a shift in their facial expression, ask them, so what are you now thinking? I noticed you looked away and you kind of smiled. What was on your mind? That's what we're doing. We're coaching them to have a different thought than they had before, which then opens up the possibility to resolve their problems. So we look at holding the safe space for them to react. So if you would put in the chat, what's one thing, again, 1 to 3 words is all you get. What do you do to hold a safe space when somebody has a reaction, and you may even feel a reaction in you? And please, you do not get involved in their emotions. This morning we were doing an exercise and the woman said she just found out her dad had cancer, you know, and the coach was like, oh, I feel so deep for her, or sad. And I'm like, that's not your job to feel sad for her. You know, now you can say, wow, that was a huge thing that just happened. Are you willing? Do you want to stay coaching? Or is there something else you need to do? You can ask that, but don't feel sad for them. You know, don't sit there and go, oh, my heart is really big for you, blah, blah, blah. Don't do that. It's not your job to feel their emotions. Sympathy and empathy are 2 different things. So what do you do to hold the space? Write it in, in the chat. I think I'm missing. Stay there and be silent. No judgment. You know, judgment is an emotion. So emotional intelligence, feel the tension and let it go. Don't just be silent. You know, silence, absolutely, but it's got to be a open, compassionate silence. I'm not just stuffing. Don't stuff your emotions. They'll still feel them. You know, emotions have energy. Release the emotion. Just love your person, love your client, give them space, ground yourself. That's good. Compassionate silence. Very good. Yeah, you notice the feelings in you and let them go. Release them so you can be present in a safe space. They need to stay safe with you. They need to stay safe. And if they feel that they're making you sad, then they're going to feel bad that they made you sad. So don't label the emotions. Very good. Okay. So it's important that we create trust and safety. That's why you have that. But what trust and safety is it's nonverbal. You have to open your entire nervous system. That's what creates psychological safety. I'll show you that in a moment. So you can then receive without judgment what they're giving you, appreciate their experience no matter what it is, and then catch and release that judgment, which, you know, we're all judgy people because that's your brain preserving you. So it's okay to say you had a judgment. So operating system. There's a lot of training around this. If you go on my website, covisioning.com. Did I put it here? No, I didn't. Okay. Maybe you can put it, one of you can put it in the chat.
I'll put it in chat.
Okay. So maybe you can check. If you go to my website and up in the right corner, there's a search and just put Coach the Person resources. Okay, you're going to get a hidden page. Maybe I made it public. I don't remember. But it has this visualization. Okay, it has it both in audio form as well as written. So you can just listen to me walk you through how to open your brain, open your heart, and open your gut. But simply you can do this on your own. If you just for a moment, and this can only, you can do this in just moments, that you let go of your thoughts. You remember what you're most grateful for in life, which will open your heart. Maybe it's a particular person or your pet. My cat often jumps in my lap when I'm early online, and you know, I'm grateful that she brings me joy. Opens your heart. And then remember a time in your life where you stood up or spoke up in spite of your fears. That's your courage. Remember that feeling. You're going to feel that in your gut. So I just throw out my thoughts, open my heart. I just have to look out my window, and I'm grateful for being here. And then I have so many times when I've like spoke up or stood up in my life to say, oh yeah, watch me. How many times in my life where I was, you know, shot down, where I was told I wouldn't accomplish something, or I hit the glass ceiling and, you know, I had to do that. Oh yeah, watch me. I'm going to go do this. And that was my gut talking. But know that each of you has dominant brain, and then one of these. Some of you come to coaching because you know how to open your heart, but it's harder for you to open your gut. Some of you are like me, you're risk takers in life. You just jump over the cliff and then you look down. But in all the years I worked for tech companies, I had to close my heart, and I had to relearn how to open my heart when I took on coaching. That wasn't easy. I had to work with some people to truly be able to be vulnerable and open my heart. So wherever it is your weak spot, work on that. That's what creates psychological safety. They feel you're fully open and vulnerable yourself. They feel safe with you. Lots of research around this. If you look up therapeutic presence on how opening your vagus, your you know, your gut, your heart, and your brain are all connected by the vagus nerve. Open up your entire, all the organs on your vagus nerve. People feel safe with you. It's not what you say. Which then allows you to receive what they give you fully. You don't have to think about it, that you receive it and you offer it back. But the thing that gets in the way the most is this thing called judgment, because the brain is always looking to protect you, you know, that you're going to make judgments about the people you're with. And to say that I'm not a judgy person, yes, you are, unless you're a robot. You know, AI might not be judgy. I don't know. You know, but that's who we are. Yeah. And when I realized judgment is an emotion, not a opinion, was I was doing a demo in China, and the person in front of me, oh, he was delightful. He was trying to decide whether he wanted to be a coach when he retired. You know, and I asked him what he loved about his work. He said, I love helping people see their potential, who they can be, and the light in their eyes when they see they can do more. And then he said something political that my whole body went, ugh, because it was so against everything I had been brought up to believe. And then I caught it. It was right here in my solar plexus. I breathed into it, and I remembered, here's this delightful man who loves to help people. Who cares what his politics are? I don't care. You know, yeah, we probably have different definitions of what we think communism, democracy, and all of that is anyway. So I was able to quickly do that. But then I started realizing, you know, this is what I need to teach, that how to help people notice when they have that tenseness in their body. That's a judgment. Assume when you assume you know what they mean without asking and leap to knowing what's best for them, you're judging them. So be careful of that. Let it go, release it, let it go. So here's your assignment. It's a judgment field trip. Go to places where you know your judgment is going to be triggered. I have an easy one. All I have to do is go see my sister. She triggers me just like that. I keep working on it, but I don't know that I'll change it in this lifetime, but I'm getting better. So go places, the airport, the grocery store, wherever, and notice where your body tenses up. Where do you hold judgment?
3 caskets.
See, and I won't react to that. So we go to these places just so you start noticing, because it'll show up in your body. Fear, anger, judgment, they're all biological reactions. Anytime you have a tension in your body, you don't have to know which emotion it is, but just notice it, breathe in and release it, and then remember how you want to feel. Courage and compassion, calm and curious. 2 words is all you get. 2 words. Just breathe in those emotions so you can come back and be present, and you can do it just like that. So go practice. There's always places, just driving in traffic. How about that one? That one will trigger you. So think about that. What do you do when you notice your thoughts are stopping your flow and affecting your presence? This is what you need to come to know, so you can come back to be respectfully curious with them. I'm working with a group right now, a university, and I'm doing a workshop on cross-functional communications. And, in my last company, we redesigned the entire company into cross-functional business units. And oh boy, I was so glad they let me go in and work with them, because here's people who didn't respect and didn't like each other. And all of a sudden they're having to make decisions together. They certainly had judgments, like the engineers, you were judging the factory workers, where the factory workers knew better how the equipment worked than the engineers, so we really had to work on respectful curiosity, and to be open to really learning about each other. I will make mistakes. When I talk to you, I may say something offensive, but I want to be curious as to know, what it was that I said, and not to make excuses, but, so I'm learning, and you're helping me learn. So the thing is to always come back to that state when you feel like provoking, convincing, telling them what to do. Can you return to that state where they see it in your eyes? I am here for you. I am here for you. They feel that when you talk to them. And that's what we're looking for. So this is just a little, years ago, how many years ago, over 20 years ago, I did this thing with professional athletes. What was it that got them to be present under pressure? And it was exactly what I told you. They recognized tightness. They released the tension. They grounded themselves. They centered themselves. They knew where their center was, right below your navel. If you've never done yoga, Pilates, martial arts, I recommend that, so you know what it feels like to be fully in your center. They said they don't think about being a winner, because then they'll think about being a loser. They just didn't think. They just put their awareness in their center. And if they were to think anything, it's what is it I want to feel in this moment? And for you as coaches, compassionately curious, calm and courageous, whatever works for you. And you can do this quickly the more you practice it. So you use your presence to ensure they feel understood and valued for what they know and who they are. So you have to give up knowing. And it's the hardest thing when you've been with someone for a while, and especially if you're an internal coach, to give up knowing this person. This is a new person today, so who are they today? Be curious. Believe they are creative, capable, and worthwhile. They will accept this gift from you, this thing called coaching. So with that, we've got good. I'm right on time. I can answer your questions. And you know what? Let me just see on the, share my screen again. Did I give you? Yeah. So here's another thing. I have a whole new toolbox based on the new book. That's why I think I made the other one public, but this one is definitely a hidden page. This is the toolbox. There's a page called Breakthrough Coaching Refreshers that you'll get a bunch of new videos and podcasts and articles. But this is a whole toolbox based on the book that you can download. So maybe, I mean, there it is. You can take a screenshot and get this download, the coaching toolbox. Okay. All right.
That's
There's all my
awesome.
other-
That is
Yeah.
absolutely awesome. So first of all, a big round of applause for Dr. Marcia Reynolds. That was awesome. So lots of you've got questions. We've got my co-pilot here. Ahoy, are you there? You're going to be taking questions for us. We've got just 12 minutes because
So I'll be
our
brief.
guest has to be leaving pretty soon. So Ahoy, are you taking any questions? How are you going to take these? In chat, or do you want people to come off mute?
It'd be good if you put your questions in the chat so I can read them out.
Thank you.
So we're waiting. Thank you, Marcia.
Any question is good. If it's on your mind, it's probably on somebody else's mind. So you're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome.
I mean, someone asked a question earlier on. The person said, what if we already know what she said is not the real problem, but she keeps fixating on that problem? I don't know. That's an Ellen Neal. I don't know if that helps.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing. Again, remember, people rationalize, they're going to start that way. But, you still got to go with what they say. So if they say, remember that you're only coaching the person in front of them. So if they say, I'm okay, but other people aren't, then you might remind them, I can't coach anyone else who's not in the room. I can only coach you. So do you want to look at how you might deal with them differently? Or how to create a different scenario where this problem doesn't arise? What would you like to look at for you? Okay, so that would be one thing. But understand that the way they see the problem now, if you just use reflective inquiry, that often changes their view of what the problem is. That happens to me a lot. They come with, here's the thing I want to resolve. Here's what I want to look at. And I just start saying, okay, this is what you say you're facing. What's making you so frustrated with this? And just ask questions based on what you're reflecting. They start to examine their thinking and they come up with different things. This morning we did in 3 minutes, I was doing an exercise where I gave them very concise. You can only ask a clarifying, make a clarifying statement. This is what I heard you say, and ask one concise question. And the person each time said, well, yeah, I guess it's that's not what I want. I really want to figure out how to do this. Well, yeah, I guess that's not really it. This is what it is. And by the third time, she says, I just want to figure out how I can more easily make these choices. What's really, the swirling in my brain when this comes up was different than the first statement. So trust that. Use reflective inquiry and be careful of your judgment of them because they may not feel safe enough with you. Remember, emotions have measurable energy. So I don't care how good you are at suppressing your emotion. If you suppress them, they're going to feel the energy. Even on Zoom, they get it that you're not fully being open with them, so you have to release the emotion and pull in what you want to feel instead, so they feel that with you. Did you notice when I was talking to you how I feel about coaching? It comes out in the way I talk about it. I know I'm excited about it. But emotional energy is crucial. Aha.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Marshall. So we have a question from Oluwatoyin, and she says, how do you get to coach the need behind the need if the person is hesitant to open up?
Well, you know what? Remember that you're working with a lot of different styles of processing. Some people are like, verbal processors, and they'll just talk out there, and you have to elegantly, politely interrupt. Could we stop for just a moment? I want to just make sure I'm tracking with where you're going, to understand. So it's okay to interrupt if they keep going on and they're repeating. But other people, have to really think things through and feel safe, and it takes a little longer for them to trust. Okay, so, again, this is where your emotional energy comes in, and let them know I'm here for you, and I really want to understand how you think about this situation. What's making it difficult for you? Would you be willing? I often ask the willingness question. Would you be willing to look at it with me in a different way? And there's a difference between not coachable or somewhat coachable. I'm just cautious. Somewhat coachable, I'm just cautious. You can move up the ladder, into coachable. Not coachable at all. I don't want to share with you. I don't trust that you're not going to tell people. I had this guy I started with at a hospital. We just ended our 12th session, and he started with me. He says, the way this organization works, I just don't trust that whatever I say here with you, that people aren't going to know, because everybody tells everybody everything. I said, okay, I hear your concern and the experiences you've had that have led you to believe this. Understand that I'm external. I don't care what other people in your company think. And it's my ethical code. I cannot coach you if I don't abide by my ethical code of keeping confidentiality. So just know that. It may take a while for you to trust me. That's okay. But just know that I'm here for you and not anyone else. And he was like, okay. And by the end of the session, he was opening up to me. So you know what? That's okay. I understand that his past experiences had led him to this belief. All right. And all I could do is just, keep reminding him, I'm here for you. I don't care if they told you you needed coaching and they wanted you to do something else. I don't care what they said. I'm here for you. And I tell my stakeholders this when they hire me to coach someone. I tell them, I'm not there to make them do something you want them to do. Please understand that. Because I won't take on those type of assignments. I did in my early years, and then I realized that's not good. And that doesn't serve anyone. So I let them know that. So hi, Barbara. I see that you're down there in my corner. So yeah, Barbara was in a previous group that I
Thank you,
taught.
Marcia.
Yeah.
So there's a question from Shan. It says, what if what they're saying is true to them, but it feels unauthentic, living in glass ceiling?
So it feels inauthentic to you as the coach. Don't judge that. Just, you might say there was hesitation in your voice when you said that. Like I was coaching someone this week, and she kept doing this when she said, yeah, I guess I'll do that. Yeah, that's the goal. And I said, every time you say it, you purse your lips like, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. So what's the hesitation about? Would you be willing to share? Or if there's a little resistance. I had this one woman I was coaching and doing a demo in Singapore, and she was like, yeah, well, yeah, I'll do that. But these people they're so icky to work with. And, and I finally at the end, I said, okay, so she said, well, I'm going to have a conversation with them. I said, I just don't feel that there's a real commitment that you really want to do this. She says, I don't. Somebody told me to be your client. I didn't really want to fix this. I'm going to quit this job. I'm like, well, thank you for telling me the truth, but she wouldn't have until I said, I don't get that you're really committed to this. So again, share the emotions you see and see what they say. Fortunately, I had time to do a second demo with somebody who really wanted the coaching. But they all said that was a great demo of showing how to deal with somebody who doesn't want to be there. So, yeah.
All right, we have a question from Charles. He said, my question is it categorical to say that new information does not change behavior, or does this apply only to some people in some cases? In other words, are there people whose behavior changes because of the information they just received?
Information can change behavior if there's an emotion attached to it. So if you tell me something and go, wow, that's really awesome, or it terrifies me, then it's more apt to embed in my long-term memory because of the emotion. If there's no emotion, you just tell me something and I say, okay, I'll go try that. When I recall to do it, I'm probably going to forget some of what you said. So I might change it, but I'm not going to do it exactly as you said. And then I might even subconsciously sabotage it because I don't really want to do it. So when you I teach this when I work with leaders that, when you just tell people what to do, I show them that graph. You're pacifying their brain, not activating it. So even if it doesn't change behavior because it doesn't embed in long-term memory. Okay, it has to embed in long-term memory, and it has to change how I see things, or I will not change my behavior. I'll change it for a while, and then I'll go back to doing what I always did before. And I know this because I've been studying behavioral change since the mid-1980s when I got my second master's. So I'm just aging myself for y'all, and I'm like, how do you do that? And I kept researching, and trying to make my classes better. And then finally I found coaching and I went, okay. And that's why I went to get my doctorate. I'm like, I have to understand how this works in the brain. What makes coaching different than just having a brilliant training class with lots of participation and they really have fun? What makes coaching different? And it truly activates that creative brain. In fact, it maps with people in creative modes. Like they map the brains of rappers, and they found that when somebody is delivering a rap, I don't know, do you say singing a rap? I'm not sure.
Rapping. Rapping.
Yeah, okay. That they start with their cognitive brain, but then the cognitive brain goes silent. And the middle brain goes pop, 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 because they're being spontaneous. And it's all over the place like that graph. And then as they go to close the rap, the middle brain quiets down and the cognitive brain lights up again because they have to consciously close it. It's the same with coaching. We start with being, direct on trying to figure out where we're going, but then it's a spontaneous flow where there's creativity happening. And then we come back to, okay, so what are you going to do? By when? What could get in your way? You have to wrap up the container. So, yeah.
Do we have time for just one more question?
Sure.
We're
just on time, but I'm just suspecting. Do you want to take one more question, please?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Okay. So this one is from Abiba. She says that with executive coaching, I tend to separate requests for skill building from our coaching sessions. I've been asked by a business coach about what to do. They are being engaged for what they know to be an entrepreneurship guide or consultant.
Okay, you know what? I'm going to ask you could that person come on and in one sentence, what is your question?
Okay, I'm just going to
that's
get them
Abiba.
to, yes. Abiba, can you unmute yourself?
Yeah, ask one sentence is all you get as a question.
Okay, sure. Hi, Marcia. No, a business coach was asking me that isn't business coaching different from executive coaching?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's not really coaching then. Then it's business mentoring. There's a lot of people that call themselves a coach when they're not really coaching. So if I'm coaching, I refrain from doing that. Even yesterday, the woman was she wanted some coaching on bringing a coaching culture into her company. And I'm like, you know, I'm not going to give you the steps because this was a class on that. I said, I'm going to give you the steps in a little bit, but I'm not going to coach you on that. I want to coach you on what do you perceive to be the difficulties in doing this? You know, in your approach, what are you afraid to do? What's holding you back? I can only coach on that. So be very clear with your clients when you contract with them that this is how I coach. This is what I'm going to do with you. If you need a mentor to tell you, you know, how to get more sales or set up your company, that's not what I do. And I can refer you to somebody, but I don't do that. So see how they're defining business coaching. What are they looking for? So yeah, so I don't want to say all business coaching is mentoring because I don't know what the person's looking for. If it's small business coaching, you know, there still could be coaching in there. And executive coaching is usually corporate. Okay, does that make sense?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Okay, all right.
Rightio. Thank you very much, Marcia. Now, just before people leave, please just spend a bit more time with us. Before Marcia leaves, can we show some appreciation for this fantastic evening? It's been an eye-opener for me. I thought I was a great coach. Now I know that I'm just on my path to becoming a great coach from the learnings tonight. So, thank you so much for your time this evening or today. Can we all just show a round of appreciation, whichever way you either use chat or you can use the digital format, or you can actually physically clap. And thank you so much. Now, can I ask, please, that you will make the slides available for onward distribution?
Sure.
That's great.
Yeah,
Some
I'll send you PDF.
Some of the resources that you've shared, I've put the links in chat, your website, and the toolkit for that matter. I've already extracted the link to it so that people can get hold of that. Fantastic.
Okay.
So, is this the point that we say with a really heavy heart, you got to get on to other things? Thank you so much.
I have my
for your
lunch to
time.
eat. And you probably.
Oops, sorry. Can you unmute yourself, please? Yeah.
Okay.
There you
All
go.
right. Thank you all.
Great.
Thank you for being a coach.
Thank you so much.
We'll see you again.
Thank you. So, for our other participants, please do not go yet. We are not
I'm gonna
done.
go.
Thank
Bye.
you. It's been great having you. Thank you, Marcia. Awesome. Okay, so what we've got next is there's still a few things I see the numbers are dropping, but we're not done yet. Please hang around. So we got a couple of things, or actually we've got 3 things to go through next, okay? So first things first, we're going to take some announcements, what's coming up, what's on our radar, and I'm going to hand over to the president of ICF Nigeria, Akanu Ekong, just to talk about the first item you can see on the screen there.
Thank you, and thank you everyone for joining us here in Nigeria virtually. We have people from Barcelona, Belgium, America, UK, Slovenia. Someone private chatted me and said that I should visit Slovenia. I'm going to put that on my list. And then my Kenya, South Africa. So thank you so much. Indeed, one of my best books, and Marcia is not here, so I'm not just trying to flatter her, is Coach Not the, and Croatia. Thank you, Sasa. Coach the Person, Not the Problem. A lot of things that she talked about today, you can find in Coach the Person, Not the Problem as well. But talking about books, I don't know whether you can see me. And so we have just launched this book called The World of Coaching and African Experience. Is a fantastic resource, not only by one author. We have several authors from all over the world, from Tunisia, from Egypt, South Africa, India, Pakistan, Nigeria, Ghana. It's a resource that you need to have, and not just put it at your, in your library. It's something that every coach should have. So we're formally launching it in May during ICW, which is May 13 to 17. But if you want to grab a copy, you can go to Amazon UK or Amazon USA and grab your copy. So that's what's happening. That's the next big thing that's happening for us here in Nigeria is launching this book formally, but you can grab your copy already if you want it from Amazon UK or USA. So thank you once again. If you want to connect with us in Nigeria, one of my colleagues will put an email address so you can connect. I saw someone said they want to now become a coach after listening to this session. So please do get in touch with us. Thank you so much for people who have joined us all around Europe, USA, Qatar. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, President. Okay, so the next attraction that I've got on the list is watch this space. We've got another exciting coach who's going to be coming to have a session with us, the human behind the coach. How great coaches transform themselves first. And this coach comes from a systemic coaching perspective. So dates to be confirmed. And we've also got the International Coaching Week that President has mentioned earlier on. So watch this space, that's coming up soon. Now, we're coming up to the closing moment now. And first of all, on behalf of ICF Nigeria Charter Chapter, I'd like to show a big appreciation for everyone for attending, sacrificing their time, and participating in today's session. Now, we have a mixture of credentialed and non-credentialed coaches here. For those coaches who are credentialed and want to claim resource development coach CCE units towards their renewal, there's a process in the feedback form that we've got a link in here, and I'm going to put the link in chat for you, for those who would want to visit it. Alternatively, you can just get hold of your smartphone or whatever tablet or device you've got that's got a camera. Please take a picture of this QR code, and it will take you to the feedback form. Now, why is it important to complete the feedback form? First of all, we want to try as much as possible to gather some feedback from you about how the session went for you specifically today, but also what else you might want to see or be involved with in future activities. Now, it's not mandatory that you have to provide your email address, but we're going to put our email. Has someone dropped the email, the ICF Nigeria email address for you to reach out to us if you require further assistance, if you're starting your journey as a coach, or maybe you're already a coach and you want to progress a journey. I'm the director of education, and one of the responsibilities I have is to, answer questions about credentialing, the pathways. How do people either become a coach or further the journey as a coach? All of us in the board, all of the members of the chapter are there to provide support for you. All you need to do is just reach out, make the contact, ask the questions, and we'll take it up from there. So on behalf of everyone, we'd like to say a massive thank you for your time today. We've still got just over about 76 people left. I don't know whether anyone has any question they want to ask. Feel free to use the chat, or you may now unmute yourself and ask a question. Otherwise, we're going to bring the session to a close. I see so many names here that I'd like to acknowledge, and it will be impossible for me to go through the list of names, but I just want to acknowledge every single one of you who's spent the time listening and learning this evening and being committed to your journey. Any questions from anyone? Oh, thank you, ICF Ghana. We're walking this journey together in close collaboration. Thank you. Oh, okay, we've got the email address there, info@icfnigeria.org. Okay, so is this the point that we now say to everyone, thank you for your time, and have a good evening. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen now so we can actually just make visual contact with everyone. Wow, this is the first time that I'm actually seeing all the faces. Oh, someone just asked me a question about pictures. How does that work? Who wants to do that? Who wants to lead on that? Do people want to hang around to take pictures, please? What I might want to do is ask you to enable your cameras. Maybe this is the first time that some people are actually going to see one another this evening. So let's not be shy. I actually put my makeup on before I came on, so I don't have to worry about going to put on makeup now. I'm all set for 8. Okay, let's do it. Oh, Yetine, you're going to do the selfies? Okay.
I did something, but I think Steph is probably the.
Yes, Steph, you doing the selfies? I just saw I got a notification about an app for group photos. I'm not sure how it works.
I am good at
Okay.
taking hand in the phone selfies,
Mhm.
not Zoom room selfies.
Well, I
Okay.
think I think we're good.
Okay, I can see that there's an app looping in the background taking some pictures. I have no idea what it's doing. It's got to be one of these fancy AI tools, but who knows? I'm not complaining. Okay, I'm going to stop recording now.